Now that's a handsome cat boy right there. Oh yes, that's right. The Tiger Warrior Sawai as a new generic lord coming alongside Bathsheba, counterpart to her without all the teleportation. And instead of dual hand weapons, he's got a big old glaive spear thing for anti-large. And as a result, he's a very cheap and cost-effective anti-large character, similar to Bathsheba. He counts as infantry, but has a lot of the benefits of being like a monstrous infantry-sized character. Has great mass, great mobility, and Tiger Warrior stuff. Not the best armor, probably his biggest downside, but does come with a potion of toughness available to him. He's also got the Dawn Glaive, which is a nice melee attack defense speed debuff while he's in melee. And basically that's all I brought. We can take a look at the rest of his kit after the fact. But today I'm taking him against Bretonnia in what I think is a pretty functional build, also featuring the best Tiger Warriors variant by far, the Iron Claw Tiger Warriors. They're armored somewhat. I mean, they've got 60 armor, which is quite a bit more than the, 15 for the regular Tiger Warriors and the Stalkers. They've got halberds as well. So again, anti-large, armor piercing, 20 bonus versus large, which is just fantastic. It also got 35 charge bonus, which makes them a rare, good charge anti-large unit. And that mobility and that mass means they're great at supporting mobile engagements, cavalry, fast monsters, stuff like that. They're a great tool to have in your toolkit. Help supplement your own mobility. We've got some peasant horsemen here. Right now we're protecting some grand cannons, and I've got a single Nangao grenadier in the center, some peasant archers, spears, halberds. Like I said, it's a pretty functional Cathay army. We've also got Lady Boo, or the new Tao Yan the Merciless character, who is very Lu Bu coded, I have to say, in her backstory. Just, warrior that went too far and, a little bit too down for the war, maybe, but nonetheless fighting for the right side, at least in this battle. She is also a halberd character, anti-large, armor piercing, great melee defense, magic damage, and then the one thing I brought here is her magic item, the Tyrant's Talon, which you can see right here, this fancy trident, technically. It has this Brutal Wounds passive when you activate it, which does a damage over time effect and melee defense debuff. So super interesting character, only available on foot, which is a little bit tough. Foot characters sometimes have a little bit of a bad time, but Cathay has a few good options for foot characters. Though I will say that damage over time effect does give her a little bit more support ability than a lot of other foot characters that I think she also has another support ability. Yeah, I just didn't take it in this particular battle. But anyway, Samurai Warrior, my opponent here, has brought Bretonnia. He's got 2 Grail Knights, 2 Knights Errant, mixed on each flank, and then a big old force of Peasant Bowmen, Men-at-Arms, Damsel of Life, a Grail Relic, and that's, it's a Bretonian army right now. He's taking some heat on his Grail Knights from the Grand Cannons. Maybe should just keep them back for now while his infantry force is advancing. I don't have too much mobility myself that I can go and threaten him, but Lewin is going to try and dive down. He does break one of the cannons, actually, just straight on a charge, which is pretty good. I'm going to counter-charge with the Sawai, get some good damage on Lewin, hopefully. We've got a stagger right there, which is nice. Knights also charge in. Peasants holding the line, trying to at least push the knights away. Peasant horsemen as well, hoping to do the same. But just stay nice and tight right now. Iron Claws maybe over pursuing the Grail Knights a little bit, but do catch Samurai slipping on his micro just a little bit there as well. I'm able to get some contact. Those glaives. Yeah, the Iron Warriors, Iron Claw Warriors. Super, super cool, honestly. In the center, Tao Yan's going to force a nice little blob for the Grenadiers to throw into. Absolutely explode a bunch of men-at-arms here. Moving once again, back line. Yeah, the Iron Claws getting pulled way out of position right now. Definitely going to have to bring them back to defend, but unfortunately for me, Samurai did the old trick of moving his archers into range and shooting the artillery crews with bows. Very tried and true tactic, is able to take out my grand cannons here. So although the damage initially looked pretty impressive, they were able to get some value, certainly respectable. Not like they just were a complete waste. One of them actually does pay for themselves, despite the damage they've taken. But yeah, the archers coming into fire is probably going to save the Grail Knights, at least for some time. But now we get an interesting situation of there's, Grail Knights on the field. They've taken some damage, but they're still certainly extremely potent, especially as the game moves into its later phases, and they continue to have perfect vigor will benefit them greatly. But we're going to see a little heal on Lewin here. Dives on in. Claw Speaker. I didn't highlight this particular Claw Speaker, but I do have the Lore of Beasts. Let's take a look as he runs through this combat here. Of course, Flock of Doom is just always going to make any caster pretty decent. And I've also got the unique transformation of Kadan, which is available to only the Claw Speaker, which of course summons a Celestial Lion. I don't know if you saw the Celestial Lion earlier charging the archers in the back line, but yeah, that was his doing. We might see another one yet later, but for the time being, let's keep a nice wide view. Iron Claws trying to stay close and just kind of mirror wherever the Grails go, but it's tricky, At the end of the day, even though they're a little bit faster, got good mass, they've got loose formation, they still ultimately do have the halberd problem of only being able to be in one place at a time and being outmaneuvered by units which are much faster than them. Again, they have that problem to a lesser extent than other elite halberds, say like Phoenix Guard or Blackguard for the various Elven factions. These guys can move, unlike those more static halberd units, but they are still halberd infantry at the end of the day, so it is potentially going to be tough here to actually catch these Grail Knights in a meaningful engagement as long as Samurai stays on the move, but forced into a counterattack now at this point with his archers kind of kiting a little bit. My infantry trying their best to advance. Grenadiers, really nice work right now with some anti-infantry. I tinkered around with this build a little bit and was like, yes, oh, there we go, Celestial Lion arrives in a light ray from the heavens. That's such a cool animation, honestly. But, yeah, here it goes. Let's see if it can help put in some work. Peasant Horsemen getting a little ahead of infantry support, going to get absolutely destroyed by the Bretonnian counterattack. We do have the whole left flank of the Bretonnian army on the run. So definitely some benefits there. Knights Errant also having a tough time getting away from Iron Claws. The Celestial Lion, almost as colorful as the Knights, dives on in. Iron Bros. Someone commented on a video I did recently about these guys that they didn't think that the Shiva and the Tiger Warriors aesthetic fit Warhammer. And I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest. I mean, they do look very new. They do look very new Games Workshop, I will say. But I think they very much fit into the setting as a whole. Definitely look amazing. Feel generally pretty good to play, other than the ambushers, the stalkers we saw yesterday. And the regular Tiger Warriors, I can just spoil at this point, are also not that good. They seem to be pretty cost inefficient. Or you'll see. I'm going to show the roster after the fact on this one. We can discuss some different things, but yeah, they're just not particularly cost effective in my estimation. But anyway, yeah, the Iron Claws and all the characters that come with this DLC are going to be very solid. Speaking of which, Bao Yan and the Sawai here are going to be hard pressed. Try and actually get Lewin again into a meaningful engagement. Samurai doing a really nice job capitalizing on his mobility in this second half of the game, keeping me on the back foot, and the archers have just been absolutely feasting my lack of mobility of being able to take them down. I'm sure all the archers have already paid for themselves. Saw there. But Grail Knights also still definitely dangerous. Been able to heal them up a bit, sustain with that Damsel of Life. And yeah, they're always dangerous. A little bit of Flock of Doom on my part to try and equalize the HP battle with magic, but the thing I've got going for me is, I mean, obviously my characters are still very healthy, and yeah, the Iron Warriors, Iron Claws are also doing quite nice. Do have this one halberd and as an archer, which since this is Conquest, we're going to park on the objective for now, just to make sure that I've got insurance in case things get a little bit dicey, because with Bretonnia, never know. You literally never know. They are one of the factions that can definitely scrap back best, just because of how strong Grail Knights are. And it's like, once that mobility equation flips, it's incredibly difficult for your opponent to get good engagements. Got some peasant-on-peasant action here. Yes, I don't know why, it makes me very happy watching peasant long spears fight Bretonnian men-at-arms peasants with spears. Anyway, let's take a look at Tao Yan as she fights Lewin. Ooh, the Grail Knights getting a big surround here. See, this is where things all of a sudden can turn super dangerous. You can't even see them in there, really, but if I pull up the health bars, you can see how much damage they're taking. King Lewin does get hit by that brutal wounds, debuffing his melee defense, doing a little bit of passive damage over time. If the Grail Knights also get hit by that, the damage scaling will be pretty decent against them. But, you know, that it requires Tao Yan to actually get some attacks on. See if we can see where she's... There we go. Very bravely getting lanced in a circle. But, you know, giving it back. Her attack animations don't seem to be insanely fast, but a little bit of an interval there in between. But, yeah, in that surround, Sawai ends up just getting absolutely blasted by lances. Lewin himself, and straight up terror routes. Tao Yan is also not doing great, down below half HP at this point, so a Samurai Warrior had for a while been like, oh no, this is totally over. But then at this point I was like, I don't know, man, I don't know, there's a chance you could just leadership bomb me out here. But yeah, the Sawai though fought admirably, got a good amount of value, even though he ultimately gets killed here. Can't really fault him too hard for that performance, especially, I mean, I think this kit I brought him with is like 1500, I want to say. Super cost effective, honestly, so not mad about that at all. Likewise, the Beastcaster and Tao Yan have also both been pretty solid here. Let's see, Tao Yan fighting against Lewin has been able to get some pretty good value. She's also pretty cheap as just a foot slogger. Ooh, the Tiger Caster there gets a good hit on Lewin, perhaps, at least staggers him. Boss Speaker, of course, gets a devastating flanker with the ferocious ambush passive, as do all Tiger Warrior units. But, yeah, it does have a cooldown and only enables if he is charging. But, yeah, Tao Yan actually gets taken down there. And Lewin finish her off. Doesn't look like it. Looks like she'll get screened there by the Boss Speaker, who now himself terror routes. So it's going to come down to my Iron Claws, literally. They're going to have to carry this late game because every other power unit for me is gone. Let's see how they can do. The last few Grail Knights charging in. Iron Claws managed to catch up a few of their unit models. They're going to unleash some fancy Guan Yu style animations. Just take down a few of the Knights. Yeah, you can see how the Grail Knights are some of the heaviest cav in the game, actually. And so for them to be able to even, like, stop up a few of their unit models on a charge like that is quite impressive, I have to say. Like, a full, you know, full health unit of Grail Knights in Lance formation would probably be able to punch through, especially if the Iron Warriors are charging. But there, we were able to push back the Grail Knights, maintain control of the objective here, and let's fast forward a little bit as I just regather my forces here, regroup, and get ready to fight once more. Samurai Warrior going to do the same, get his archers in range, start peppering. The Iron Claws, actually, with only 60 armor base, would be relatively vulnerable. No missile block chance as well. They're going to be relatively vulnerable to shooting, so definitely something to watch out for. They're not, like, absolute world beaters by any means, but they are definitely good infantry in my experience. When used in the appropriate role, they're going to be quite good. And definitely out of all three of the Tiger Warrior infantry, they're the best. And they also add something that's relatively unique. You know, I'm trying to think of other, like, noble elite halberd style units. Really, I mean, that's like War Dancers are not quite on their tier. They're maybe like a half tier to a tier below. And they don't have the same armor or mass, which really benefits the Tiger Warriors. It is certainly a very interesting unit type, and one that benefits Cathay greatly. Being able to support those mobile engagements means it's actually maybe viable to, like, win cav engagements against certain factions with like Jade Lancers and Iron Claws together. here they were paired up with peasant horsemen, but you know, maybe a little foreshadowing for future videos, but yes, at this point it's just a matter of mopping up a few remaining Grail Knights and Lewin himself, and even the damsel also going to be very brave and fight briefly against the Iron Claws here. But before long, army losses kicks in, and that will be a game. Very well played to Samurai Warrior. My opponent definitely made it quite an interesting game there in the end. Grail Knights were able to pay for themselves. This goes to show kind of their power, despite taking early damage from the cannons. Still absolutely nasty units, but credit to the Iron Claws. They were able to prevail and overcome. So yeah, it's not showing values. Hang on one second. There we go. Yeah, so in the cannons, yeah, they end up pretty much paying for themselves combined. Peasant Horsemen are a nice support here, mostly. Nangao Grenadiers do a nice job on an anti-infantry role as well. But yeah, I mean, 2200 value on a Tiger Warrior Iron Claw. Very, very impressive. 248 kills, 17,000 damage dealt. Awesome performance from them. Other unit, maybe not technically quite paying for themselves, but tactically just really ferocious, messing things up, really doing a nice job helping against Bretonnia. And I mean, it's obvious this matchup would be one they're good in, right? I mean, it's Bretonnia. Anytime you get an elite halberd, automatically tested against the cavalry faction. But same thing, like against Ogre Kingdoms, they'll be a nice addition to a lot of armies. And yeah, I think very solid overall. Tao Yan also did a pretty good job in this matchup. She won't be fit for every matchup, but I do think there will be a few where she will be quite solid. And then, yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Sawai, honestly. I think he might be... Yeah, we'll have to see. Basically, him or Bathsheba will both be good additions in any match. And in fact, let's go ahead and look at the cost. Because really, cost effectiveness, especially in land battles and conquest, is the most important thing. It is, I would say, the most important individual trait, although it's not necessarily an individual trait. It's more a combination of everything that a unit offers versus its cost. So, keeping all of that in mind, let's take a look here. The Sawai, yeah, 1,000 base cost is awesome. I mean, great stats all the way around. Like I said, the mass mobility is super helpful. Does still come with the Ferocious Ambush passive and, Tiger Warrior stuff, Halberd stuff, regular character stuff. But in terms of his abilities, we saw the Dawnglaive and the Potion of Toughness. Predatory Instincts is a AoE buff that affects Tiger Warriors only, which gives weapon strength and fear. It's nice, a little bit situational, and probably would be the first one I would cut. Guiding Strike is self-buff, but also gives a contact effect of Weakened, which will reduce weapon strength. Again, nice. This would probably be the second one I would cut. Fight Fire with Fire is a very funny ability. Probably one of my favorites, honestly. So if this guy gets hit with fire damage, then he himself gains Terror, 40% fire resistance, which is amazing, and 50% extra armor piercing damage, and also himself gets flaming attacks. So the first thing obvious should jump to everyone's mind is Chaos Dwarfs, right? Of course, the flaming attacks on him would be a detriment to Chaos Dwarfs, but I think the overall benefit you get from this would be definitely worth taking even still. I mean, just the fire resistance alone is going to be super helpful against some elite units of the Chaos Dwarfs. And then just the extra armor piercing damage should offset the damage that you lose from being subjected to their fire resistance. And of course, Terror is just always nice. Yeah, if there's any matchup, like Khorne too is another one where you think you might be facing fire damage, it's definitely a nice one to have. Very funny ability. Super situational, but super fun. And yeah, only 1,000 points. So like on a realistic kit, yeah, with just these two, 1250, I mean, that's incredibly cost effective for a very potent lord that can definitely get some very solid work done. You saw there. Bathsheba also, I mean, 1,200 for her. She's going to be a little bit more expensive. Anti-infantry does come with flaming magic damage base, and also has some physical resistance as well, which will help her be a bit more survivable, a little bit more armor, and just kind of better stats all the way around. But yeah, of course, anti-infantry, as we saw in the last video. If you haven't seen my last video, please go check it out. But she's great against infantry in the way that the Sawai is great against large. She is excellent at blending up infantry. Heaven's Gate ability giving her some extra mobility to get on your opponent's vulnerable units or like chase a character who's trying to get away from her. There's so much utility on this, honestly. And then, yeah, the Hidden Huntress single target debuffs with melee defense are always good, especially when they're low cooldown like this one is. You can really put that to good effect. And then, of course, if you're going to be taking other Tiger Warrior units, it makes sense maybe to take this White Tiger passive. Although, you know, you may or may not choose to bring this. I would probably, that would one of the first ones I cut. Blades of Shanyang does give her a significant bump. Flammable as well is nice. It's a very expensive item, relatively speaking, 200 gold. But if you have some other units that deal fire damage, mostly I'm thinking like Nangao Grenadiers. That's really your only like high burst unit. I mean, you do have this one peasant regiment of renown that does fire damage as well, which would synergize with Bathsheba definitely. But it's just one, you know, kind of low tier regiment of renown. Not going to be a world beater. But yeah, I guess you have the Grace of Kuai Yin, also high tier regiment of renown, same thing. It's just one unit. It's not really something you build around. Nangao Grenadiers, on the other hand, take a grip of these guys. And you run Bathsheba in, pop her item, give Flammable to an infantry unit, and then absolutely blast them with Grenadiers. Could actually help them punch through like higher armor units. Interesting. Definitely interesting. Needs testing, perhaps. But yeah, both of these guys are super cost effective. And then finally, we'll round things out with the caster. Base cost, only 750. Again, really nice for the base cost for what you get. Of course, all three of these Lures of Magic are great, so awesome to have access to them in hero form. And then specifically the special abilities we'll run through real quick. They all have this item, Crystal of Kunlan, which does an explosion. The damage is okay. I haven't actually chosen to take it yet because it's something I will often cut to cost optimize. But this one here, Mantra of Invigoration, if you have the Live Claw Speaker with Bathsheba or the Sawai, you want this, just 100% you want this. You're taking this character. Also, this one is nice too. I mean, again, it's something you may consider cutting at 200 gold, but it's nice. Every time you cast a spell, you get some physical resistance. Lore of Beasts, I didn't showcase either of these because I didn't take them, but this one gives Unyielding Assault, which is nice. It depends on who you're facing. Yeah, I mean, map-wide Unyielding Assault is cool. It's unique, but how much melee attack debuffs are you really going to be facing? I don't know. Maybe it would be super useful in the late game when everything's tired. But anyway, yeah, you also get this Sundered Armor Imbuement, which does act in an area of effect. So this will help, you know, certain units be able to punch through, like I said, higher armor. It also has a melee attack component as well, and is castable at range. So really strong buff, honestly, with quite a bit of potential utility there. Again, I didn't take it in this particular battle, but this is one that you might consider taking for sure. Lore of Beast, like I said, just amazing. And then Lore of Shadows, you get this Arcane Hymn, which is going to be quite strong. Extra power reserves is always a good thing, and extra power recharge is quite nice, especially alongside it, so that's great. And then this one, you get map-wide magic attacks on all Tiger Warrior units when you cast a spell, which will be good in certain matchups, definitely. Looking at you, Slanesh. If you have Tiger Warriors, I would assume, yeah, I would think Iron Warriors would be decent to pick up. Definitely want to have this to help cut through those slithery little snake demons. That's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.